TrinityRedorBluePill, HiHoKermitTheFrogHere. If you are new here, thank you so much. If you're returning, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you were to watch any of my videos at all, please watch this one. Please share it. I'll be surprised if I get it uploaded. I will be surprised if I get this shared. I am connecting many dots.
Describe the future. It was going to take place, so it sounds so absurd, ridiculously conservative. On the other hand, if by some miracle a prophet could describe the future exactly as it was going to take place, his predictions would sound so absurd that everybody would laugh him to scorn. This has proved to be true in the past, and it will undoubtedly be true, even more so, of the century to come.
So there is something going on. I really hope you stick through this. I have so many things to cover with all these observatories. If you watched my channel, I'm so glad that you are here and returning. If you're new, thank you for being here. This video with Sunspot Observatory closing, Rikyo Observatory now falling apart or breaking down, and what China has now built as the largest new, basically, way of signaling and radar detection, and the Vatican choosing to build Lucy, nickname now, instead of Lucifer, in Arizona. I have a lot to cover here. The technology, the things that I've covered before with CERN, DUNE, the deep underground neutrino experiments, and ITER, the largest experiment, $1 trillion experiment in the world with plasma and tokamak, and the, basically what Tesla, Philadelphia experiment, Montauk, all combined. Then all the observatories are closed. And because of what I can't say because I'm censored here. So on D Live, if you're familiar with that, I am just TrinityRedorBluePill, because TrinityRedorBluePill, HiHoKermitTheFrogHere is too long. So you can find me on TrinityRedorBluePill on D Live. That will be a lot easier for me to go into greater detail on what I want to share with you. As you know, Neowise showed up in April. There was a lot going on. And then Rikyo, it was shut down in September 2017 due to something with the weather. And that's when Sunspot Observatory had the large FBI raid, according to a janitor having something on the computer that, needed to be shut down, and the town needed to be shut down, and people were going door to door, and it was closed. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. Something's not adding up. And it also was detecting all the asteroids and near Earth objects. Now we also know that these observatories, it doesn't take very many people to run them, and them being closed. Is not covered. Frequency, vibration, latitude, longitude, how the Navy and airplanes operate. There is so much going on in the waters below and the waters above, but there is so much to be thinking about. We need to understand that we have been deceived, or at least not told the entire truth. And most of us know that already. However, the observatory is closing down, and what's happening with technology and the technology race and war that's going on, we need to take a look. Please watch this video. Please till the end. Mount Graham is considered one of the holiest mountains in the world for the Apache and is considered sacred of all the region's native people, and it is so because it is what we might call a stargate. In their mythos, a portal through which the star people have come since the dawn of time. And there's a dragon with the power of speech that turns up the bargaining with mankind, as well as supernatural gateways associated with what we might call a stargate. In their myth, the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, the Large Binocular Telescope, was being built, and why the people of Arizona, the Carlos Apache, why they did so much to join the environmentalists in filing dozens of lawsuits before a federal appeals court to try to stop the construction of the observations on Mount Graham. And the project ultimately prevailed in favor of the Vatican and NASA, and after the Act of the United States, Congress ordered it to be done, and the question still remains. The tribal communities fought so diligently against this construction. This has so much more to do than the fact that, of course, the Native Americans lived and they died, and it was their sacred holy ground, their graveyard. However, there's more to it. There's a bigger issue and a dispute around Mount Graham, and it's considered one of the 4 holiest mountains in the world for the Apache, and is considered sacred of all the region's native people, and it is so because it is what we might call a stargate. In their mythos, a portal through which the star people have come since the dawn of time, and once understood the fact that the suspicion as to why the Vatican and NASA had chosen this mountain in particular, and being willing to face a prolonged legal battle to build this telescope on Mount Graham, including the largest binocular telescope in the world where the Lucifer device is kept. Why would they have gone to all of that trouble? Why not just go to another mountain range and find basically the same height, the same environmental conditions? Why did it have to be that mountain? Now, to learn another thing, San Carlos Apache have these preserved ancient tales concerning Mount Graham and that geography, including stories very similar to biblical chronology. These legends involve a creator, a deceiving dragon that follows an epic flood, and even a race of giants known as the Jundukids, who were judged and destroyed by the god. According to the legend, a race of Indians called the Tartans lived in the valley between Tucson and Phoenix. These were just peaceful farmers, and they prospered until one day they were invaded by the Jundukids, described as Goliath, who were so huge that they used tree limbs for toothpicks. Well, the Nephilim were led by this massive man, and this evil who allegedly came from the northeast and was headed south to their home beyond the Gulf of Baja. And these giants nearly wiped out the Tartans before they ran and hid themselves underground in the mountains and prayed to Father Sun, who then threw this huge fireball that came down to air-seared the monstrous Nephilim into the scorch of the mountain rock and wiped him out. Now, elements of that tale are obviously mythological. However, it's remarkable that the coherence with the Genesis chapter 6 and the Apache creation myth is also interesting in this regard, as in a particular version it involves what they call the one who lives above, who descended down over the mountain in a flying disc at the start of creation. Their myth begins that in the beginning nothing existed, no earth, no sky, no sun, no moon, only darkness was everywhere. And then the legend starts, before noting that suddenly from the darkness emerged a disc, one side of it yellow, the other side of it white. It appeared suspended in midair, and within the disc sat a bearded man, and the creator, the one who lives above, creator who rides the heavenly disc, there's a dragon with the power of speech that turns up bargaining with mankind, as well as supernatural gateways associated with mountains through which spirit beings have and can come. Suffice it to say that these ancient native ideas involving flying discs and creations of spirit guides, even owls and talking dragon or a great serpent, and the supernatural gateways tied to the mountain ranges. This is something that began long before the Vatican cast its eyes on Mount Graham. Think how much these legends mirror what the Bible teaches, including the idea that mountaintops or high towers were often depicted as places where doorways into the supreme could be opened. For instance, Nimrod of biblical fame sets out to build a tower whose on top will reach into the heaven. Genesis 11 says that this infamous Tower of Babel, and Nimrod was designing it so that the top of it would extend into Shem heaven, the dwelling place of the god that, in several historical records, that Nimrod, who is established, was also identified as Osiris or Orion in Gilgamesh, that he had built the Tower of Babel especially to ascend into the presence of God. And God came down and said at the tower's design that nothing would be restrained from which they have imagined to do in Genesis 11:6. So in other words, according to the Lord himself, Nimrod would have accomplished what he imagined to do, and that is to build a tower whose top would reach into the God of the heaven above, and the name Babylon implying, echoing the North and South American Indian beliefs about towering gateways and meaning gate of God, our gateway to God now, and that there could be sacred locations where these beings, or those beings, can be seen into the supernatural realm and literally walk onto a high place and enter heaven is really not as far-fetched as it sounds. There are numerous records, including the Bible, that appear to substantiate the idea that heaven can be attained on high towers or mountain locations. So think about Moses meeting with God on Sinai, Jesus returning atop the Mount of Olives, the 200 watchers that descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. So this is part 1. If I continue, this will be an hour-long or longer video. I have so much to cover with sonar, LiDAR, sound and frequency, how the oceans use the observatories as the waters above, as the waters below.
But what about the city of the day after tomorrow? I think it will be completely different. In fact, it may not even exist at all. Oh, I'm not thinking of the atom bomb and the next Stone Age. I'm thinking of the incredible breakthrough which has been made possible by developments in communications, particularly the transistor and, above all, the communications satellite. These things will make possible a world in which we can be in instant contact with each other, wherever we may be, where we can contact our friends anywhere on Earth, even if we don't know their actual physical location.